Good.
Now we gotta be able to get out.
Oh.
What? A snake.
Yeah. Is there a snake?
Restoration project.
Snakes are important too, you know.
I'm Kevin Edison with Elk Creek Gun Club. We're at our open house today. Property owner is Ron Halama, and this project's been done with Ron, and then also Randy Olson. Just completed it. It's been a three-year project. So we're just going to go for a drive and look at the trout stream restoration and stream bank stabilization project.
And how's this project getting paid for?
Well, it's getting paid from multiple different organizations. Trout Unlimited has helped out. Elk Creek Gun Club has helped out quite a bit with in-kind services and with financial, actually the dollar. Trempealeau County, but NRCS is probably the major contributor on this. Well, basically their goal is kind of the same as ours. They want to stabilize the bank so we're not getting erosion. They work with our recommendations. We go out, take a look at it, what we want to do, what our goal is, and then also they have their standards. And we come up with a plan and then we run with it, and we end up with a project like this. Here we are, property of Ron Halama. This is the phase one of his trout stream restoration project and stream bank stabilization. The Elk Creek Gun Club decided to put a sign up in memory of Jim Helgeson, and then also list everyone else who helped in any way, and donations or even just in-kind services. Jim Helgeson, he was a huge impact on the trout stream restoration. He did it for quite a few years. He kept in contact with the DNR. I honestly think if it wasn't for him, these projects wouldn't be where they're at today, and there wouldn't be as many easements as there is. So one thing that's huge, there's many, but this easement with the Halamas is in exchange for $1. So we have to give the landowner a ton of credit, because if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't happen. And they didn't make any money on it. All that happened was Ron got basically 3 years of 3 months straight each summer, every day out here helping out. So there's just to name a few, there's some people that helped out. Mike Blaha was out here. He did a ton of logging. We opened up, got some vegetation growing. There was a lot of trees that were in the stream and along the bank. And without the vegetation, there was quite a bit of erosion. Mad Swiss Trucking hauled in a lot of rock. Helped out even with some topsoil, getting rid of it, and some fill. They were a huge impact. Hauled rock 7 days a week. Elk Rod and Gun Club, they're the easement holder. A lot of people involved on that. We've had the Independence High School students out here. High school kids have been out here quite a few different times, anywhere helping out with seeding, mulching, did some in-stream work, putting in some weirs, which is fish habitat. Trout Unlimited has helped out, donating some seed, also donating financially towards the project. Trempealeau County Department of Land Management, Trempealeau County has helped fund some of the banks for stream bank stabilization. NRCS was huge on this project. They overseen all the work, did up all the blueprint works, and made sure everything just worked out. TCC TV, thank you to them for them coming out and doing a bunch of video work. Quality Habitats Improvements, Rob Herman was the main contractor, and he spent a lot of hours out here. Wish he could be here today, but he's on a family vacation after 3 months of solid trout stream restoration work, so he needs some time off. A couple years ago, we had a dedication on the first phase in memory of Jim Helgeson. So we had a few people out here, and we decided to put a rock by the sign talking about the importance of the project. And Jim was always huge on getting rock into the stream and into the bank, and it was worth the money, and he set a pretty good example, because that's used quite a bit in these projects now. And he's probably hoping that these will end up in the stream one day. So now we're NRCS, with them helping out on the funding of the project and overseeing it. We had to install a buffer strip along basically any field edge. So we have 30 feet of a buffer that basically just gets mowed once a year. Helps filter out nutrients from the field runoff. It also is benefiting too, because it's helping slow the runoff coming off the field before it enters the stream and does the filtration of the sediments. Still on phase one of Ron Halama's project. As you can see, there's still some trees left, and got to give NRCS a huge shout out. We were able to work together and still leave a few trees for shade for the stream. They originally wanted to take them out, but we wanted to stabilize the bank, which they wanted, but we also wanted to help out for keeping the stream cool and also having some shade for cover. Oh, did you see that trout just jumped right in front of?
That's where we're headed.
Oh, there's another one that they're going after those raindrops. So this bank right here, I could show you pictures from right here straight down 15 feet. It was just a raw, eroded bank all the way around the corner. Kept working its way in. There was piles of trees in the stream, and we ended up resloping, putting rock on this entire bank, and then seeding it to stop the shifting of the stream and all the erosion. And we put this weir in for grade control and to create fish habitat. And I think it's working, because I see trout jumping right now. Oh, there's another one. Not too big, but it's working. Oh, a couple of them. which this hole is probably 5-6 feet deep, so there's plenty of cover here. Kind of soothing hearing the rapids, the noise. Never had that before here. It's nice seeing this project when it goes from seeing dirt and rock and erosion to grass and broadleaf plants and perennials and just an all-around better habitat for everyone. You know, but Rob's always got a positive end. Yep, it'll get done. It'll get done. I was telling Pauline, I said, you know, I'd go out and help Rob with these projects, and I said, Rob, I can run equipment. And he said, yeah? I said, why don't you teach me how to run your excavator? I can help out. He said, you're thinking. The next day he called and he said, there's a full tank of fuel on it, run it. Next project after that, he even rented another excavator for me to run. Last year he bought a skid steer, so that's what I run when I'm out here. Huh. It's been a huge team, from the property owner to the funding sources to the clubs to all the support, otherwise it wouldn't happen. This is really sandy soil up here on this field border, but it ended up turning out pretty decent. It was seeded later in the year, so I think we got a little bit more of a grass variety that held up and re-sprouted the next spring. I mean, but you can tell, so this was not seeded in the field border. I thought they were going to farm it, so Ron just seeded over here.
Okay.
And but look at the difference in the vegetation cover. Looks like there's a lot of foxtail and different stuff growing up there. That wasn't sprayed, that's just what came up. Andy's been mowing a path for the fishermen to get down to the water.
Those benches, this is beautiful.
Yeah, look at right here. So this is, I went out here. We went out here with stakes and marked 30 feet from the edge of the bank, so that did not have any seed. So look at the difference in the growth. See people here quite often fishing. That's a very nice example of a rock weir that was put in for grade control and habitat for the fish. Ron even tried to please the wife.
Oh, a prairie plot.
Yeah. What a great spot. It was going to be tough to mow or maintain. This was all full of trees, unwanted trees, box elder and so on. So let's try a prairie plot. Ron put it in the spring. It looked like weeds until about 2 months ago, and all of a sudden it had color just like in one day.
Is it a year old?
Yeah, just done this spring.
So 6 months.
Yeah.
So the forbs come in first, grasses come in later.
I bought it from Elk Seed Company.
Why don't you buy it from River Country RC&D? You can get a seed discount.
Oh, I didn't even know that you could.
Oh my
I
god.
I just did it.
Damn it.
It wasn't bad. I think it was $40 for the mix. But I found out, they said when I bought it, they said make sure to cover it with straw. Mice will like it.
Yep.
I had my enclosed trailer full of all the seed for the field border in the bank. The mice crawled up onto the shelf into that seed, and that's only when they touched it, and they tore the bag wide open and got in there.
That's called Partyville.
Black-eyed Susan's coming up.
This is so beautiful.
It's nice seeing things later on, how they start to work. The stream was really wide here, so we built a rock deflector upstream from the sandbar, and now there wasn't a sandbar there before. Now there's a sandbar, so it's now starting to channelize what we wanted. So you got to look into the future.
Exactly.
Don't expect results right now.
Wow. This is so impressive. Takes time and steps in time, right?
Definitely. We had I think that they were high school students. Kevin Hovey's daughter, so 3 years ago maybe, or 8th grade. We had them out here seeding and mulching, and thank God we had some farm kids, because they knew how to spread some mulch. And they did an awesome job spreading the seed. We got put on a little heavy, but that's all right. It grew very good, better than we expected. And it was key on this stretch that we're on right now to establish some grass right away, because some of the project doesn't call for sloping the bank, putting rock, and then topsoil over top. This is just bank shaping. So this was very raw banks. We shaped it and seeded it, and we're depending on that vegetation to hold that bank there. So we want something with some deep roots. There's another rock weir with multiple root wads behind or downstream of it. Some of the root wads are covered by the grass clumps, but talk about an awesome spot for fish to hide, invertebrates, feed for the fish. Which, before this project was done, a lot of this was just wide and shallow. We didn't
Wide and warm. Nothing was living in the neighborhood.
Didn't even know there was an old crossing here. Everything was changed. There was wood debris backing up the stream. This is the first corner on the first phase of the project that was sloped. Rock was added and it was stabilized, tying into some existing rock put in 1980s. Another thanks to NRCS, we have the cedar here. They wanted us to originally take it out. We said, how many cedars do you see? And they said, we'll let you keep it. It's a nice tree. It's good vegetation growing around it. Another section that was wide and shallow. Didn't see fish in here. I bet you if you waited long enough, you'd see one, and it wouldn't be very long. This area that we're driving on, this was all a tangled mess of trees, and it was all sand and dirt underneath it. It's starting to look like a golf course. There's a table, spot for trout to hide, fish in general, tying into some existing rock on this lower end that was done in 1980. Another rock weir that was installed. Kind of cool because it incorporates with the rock waterway coming off, so we're getting dual purpose off of that. Habitat for the fish and reduced erosion coming off the field. Here's where the kids worked. So this is a Vortex rock weir that was installed. It was done this summer, 2022 actually. About a month and a half ago, it was done with the 7th and 8th grade students at Independence High School. This was all built 100% by hand. As you can see, there's 2 logs in a V shape with rock up above it, creating a rock riffle, and you have a hole down below. Every one of these stones were set in by hand. They did an awesome job working. Down below you see a nice riffle, and you see gravel, which you don't see all over. That gravel is a crucial spot for brook trout to spawn. So coming up here in another month, there's a very good chance you could find brook trout spawning there. Helps keep their eggs turned, because the sediment and sand can be an issue with that. And it's awesome seeing the kids out here doing the work. Keeps them out of trouble. I mean, look what they accomplished. I've talked to many students in previous projects where they said, Kevin, hey, I went back to that table we put in and I caught fish. And it's even more rewarding when they say, yeah, we didn't keep any, we threw them back for someone else to catch. But it's great that they're out here doing this kind of stuff. So here's some rock that we had hauled in here at the end of the project. It's here for future maintenance. There might be something that needs to be touched up in stream for habitat. We'll go through the proper steps on doing that. Also, if we wanted to build some habitat in the stream for this fish, we just did it a couple months ago with the high school students, and this is where the rock came from. Just like everything else in life, something needs maintenance once in a while, and now we're prepared for it. So now we're on the 3rd phase of the project of Ron, Halama, and Marita, and all this was dirt here probably 4 months ago, not even. So you can see it didn't take very long for things to green up and the vegetation to get established. Granted, a lot of it's a cover crop right now, but you look down in there and you can find lots of clover and grasses coming in. Up here we have it was used for equipment crossing of the excavator on both sides of the stream, because some spots have to kind of get worked back and forth at the same time. Well, we left it in there, and basically it's a rock weir. So down below, downstream of the crossing is a root wad that's in there, and I bet you there is probably 3-4 feet of water, so there's some cover for some fish.
When it works, it works.
Yeah, and this whole project, it isn't, let's just put a root wad in here, a rock deflector there. It's all pre-planned. Sometimes 3 years in advance, working with NRCS, going with their recommendations, the fish biologists, and that all has to get approved. We can't just do what we want. So we're all working together on it. So now we're at a section where the stream was really wide. We decided to add some woody debris in. You can see there's some root wads on the left, some other cross-channel logs, and it looked a lot different when it was first installed, but it's actually doing what we want it to do. It's starting to get the stream to meander back and forth. You're getting a little sandbar created on the left-hand side, which eventually that will be full of vegetation, helping keep the stream wandering back and forth, which helps create depth. And we'll see up once we get closer, there's gravel exposed, which stated earlier is essential for the brook trout spawning. You can see in here, we didn't do much. Basically, We doctored up from, 3 feet up from the water, so basically the toe of the bank upstream. The reason being is we would have done more harm than good. This was a corner that was touched up in the 80s, so there is rock in here from the 80s. So it's getting to be quite a few years now, 40 years. That rock has worked. It's kept the stream from meandering back and forth. So why fix it if you don't have to? It's working. So right here is another habitat improvement that we installed. Stream was real wide. We wanted to narrow it up, create some habitat. So it's basically a rock deflector. You can see it's got a V shape. We put it in on the opposite side of the bank. The water's coming downstream, it hits that rock, and it shoots it over onto this side, which most people would say, hey, isn't this bank gonna erode? It's not going to, because right below where I am standing is a table. So there is actually rock underneath this grass that you see, and an artificial undercut bank for fish to hide under. And it's tough to notice. It blends in, it looks very natural, and it's working perfectly. Right where we're located right now is the property line of Ron Halamas and Randy Olson. It's kind of how all our projects have worked, is someone sees us doing something and they like how it looks and they want to know how they can help. That's how it started with Ron. Randy, he's seen what was happening at Ron's. Next thing you know, how do I get started? A few months later, his is done. His was a little bit different. His property had a lot of box elders in it, and there's quite a few trees that were tangled in the creek, and those were all taken out. A lot of the root wads from the trees that were taken out above ground, we use those for in-stream habitat, for channel deflectors, and then also for fish to hide and invertebrates. So it's all worked out really good. Right now, finishing up a project on Bill and Bob Thomas in Bruce Valley. Next year, we plan on potentially going to Jim Bork's in Traverse Valley to finish up a project that was started a few years ago. And I'm sure there's many more that's going to come. It seems to change on a monthly basis on potential projects. And we thank everyone for their support. Please remember the Elk Rod and Gun Club. First Saturday in February, we have our ice fishing contest, and that's our major fundraiser for projects like this.